Rabbi, those who fail in history are doomed to repeat it. Intactivism is a civil rights movement, just like abolishing slavery and apartheid or getting the right to vote. The only difference is that now, with the insanely archaic, tribal, primitive, uncivilized, backwards, totally backwards, brutish, inhumane, callous, sadistic, unconscionable, evil practice of forced cutting, is parents inflicting tremendous pain and trauma onto their own offspring just our own sheer ignorance, or well, it's the lies perpetuated by the U.S. medical industry, really, because if the U.S. medical industry didn't have a financial incentive to perpetuate the lies that the first injustice of the piece of skin has absolutely no purpose or function, and it's simply redundant, useless issue, and babies don't remember the pain, therefore it's inconsequential. I mean, all those things are complete lies. They're the exact opposite of reality because babies do remember the pain, maybe not consciously, but it does affect you. Like it's called trauma or permanent brain damage. Like I'm sure if someone did that to a girl at 8 days old or 1 year old or whatever, she wouldn't remember that. But still, she's I doubt she won't grow up to be a person that will be as happy or as kind and gentle as the person she was supposed to be. So and I mean, the foreskin is not a redundant tissue because, I mean, evolution actually designed the foreskin to be the external organ and penis is supposed to be an internal organ, so it doesn't make sense. Also, like cutting off your eyelid, so that's, doesn't really make sense. And I mean, foreskin definitely does have function because otherwise, why would evolution have gone to the trouble of designing something that complex like that just doesn't make sense. But okay, even if that was true, even if all of those false ideas were true, like for instance, if it was as small as a stamp, if it was this really tiny piece of skin, which it's not, but it had absolutely no purpose or function, if it was just like decoration or whatever, um, but still, it's not medically necessary removing it, and like parental consent is only valid for medically necessary surgery. So no, like in the 21st century, we have something called the legal system and the Bill of Human Rights now, and one of those human rights, more important than all the others, is physical integrity and self-determinism. So forced cutting, especially when it's done for religious reasons, is a gross violation of those human rights. I mean, children are people, not property. So, I mean, you people don't have the right to do that. Like, so those who fail to register are doomed to be entitled to the civil rights movement just about slavery and incarcerate Oregon the right to vote. Remember how in the United States it used to be considered normal to buy slaves out of the slave market, and if you thought there was something wrong with slavery and it should end, you were rude when everyone else was normal. First abolitionists were just some young people. They came from school one day, maybe after reading something by Frederick Douglass, and they were like, don't you think in this country, which is supposedly based on the premise that all men are created equal and freedom for all, don't you think it'd be better of us to like not do slavery? And the liberals are like, no, you're crazy. It's just how it's always been. Then there was apartheid in South Africa. Some young people just came home from school and they maybe after listening to a Nelson Mandela speech out in the streets, and they were like, I think this country would be a better place to live if we did design laws to lock them in jail and didn't force segregate the races. And the other people just like, no, you're crazy. It's just how it's always been. Then there was germ theory in the late 1920s. Like before then, doctors they never washed their hands, disinfected the equipment in between surgeries. So they couldn't just be out in the backyard chilling horseshit and pulling weeds out of the garden. They go and do a surgery and they didn't wash their hands. They didn't think about it. So the first young doctor started washing his hands to disinfect the equipment in between surgery. The older guys made fun of him. They were like, "Oh, he believes in all these silly little bugs called germs. They're everywhere, but we can't see them." Then there was a suffrage movement. They were trying to give women the right to vote, and some young people just came from school day, maybe after observing a suffragist presentation out in the streets, and they were like, I think, or do you think this country would be a better place to live if we didn't deny over 50% of the population from being able to express opinions? And the other are just like, what? No, you're crazy. This is just how it's always been. And in the 21st century, we have some young people that walk into a synagogue or bris or whatever after watching some intactivist footage, and they're like, "Do you think it'd be better of us to like not cut babies, to not cause people that undergo traumatic shock and would cause them permanent brain damage? Do you think it'd be better of us to not force permanent irreversible body modifications onto other people's bodies without medical necessity and without their consent?"